Oh, different. And 3. And 2. And 1.
Hi there.
And go.
Hi. This one is called Coping with Celebrations. We have a Jubilee coming up, very massive celebration. We've had 2 extra bank holidays this year because the Queen's been on the throne for 70 years, our much loved monarch. So we've got a lot coming up. And then, of course, there's July the 4th. Before we do, just want to say a little something about the chain of care.
Yeah.
The chain of care is us asking you if you're getting help to invest in someone else getting help.
Yeah.
This website is not funded in any way whatsoever. What we hope is that as you get blessed and helped, that you will...
Sorry, rephrase that.
Yes.
It's funded by us.
Yes.
And any contributions.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's
no
external funding at all.
No.
Yeah.
So, if you want to know how much should you give, I mean, if everybody gave a £5, it would be absolutely fantastic. If you could give a £5 a month, we'd
even better.
That would get us the cruise that we always wanted. But just messing around. So everything that you give keeps this website alive. And if you give, someone 6 months down the line will have this website still up and running, and will get the help that they need. So you are not investing in us, you're investing in people like you that desperately need the help. I mean, in the UK, statutory help, particularly for family members, is really poor.
It's really, really bad.
Yeah.
In fact, we are actually, in a couple of weeks' time, we'll maybe talk about some of the stuff that we're going to try and do on the ground. But, when we looked around at what was here, there was just very little.
Yeah.
Very, very little. So that's why we try and fill the gap.
Yeah, and we love it. We have social workers and probation officers and GPs and therapists and, a lot of people, when they feed back, it just is really good that they also find it really helpful. So basically, you are funding this. We hope. And so we would invite you to, but we wanted to make it free so that absolutely everybody can get the help that they needed, but it isn't free in as much as it costs money. So, if you are getting help and you do find it helpful, then we would invite you.
We base the chain of care on you may have heard of the concept of paying it forward, which is basically somebody pays for you, you pay for somebody else, they pay for the, etc., etc., etc. And what then happens is it becomes self-perpetuating.
Yes. And obviously, if you're not using it, you don't find it helpful, you don't want any money off you. It's only if you are finding it helpful. If you're finding it helpful, you can pretty well be sure that someone else will find it helpful. Kind of further down
if you give us money, then then we really appreciate it, and the people who come after you appreciate it. If you don't give us money, it doesn't mean to say we won't help you. Far from it. It's all there. It's free. Use it. If you find it's good, then help us to continue to fund it, because it's not cheap. It's not cheap.
No, he has the burden of all of this, but poor man.
Anyway.
No, it's a delight to do it.
Can I just say? No, sorry, I'm cutting across my wife here. But can I just say that to everybody who has contributed, a big thank you.
Thank you.
Huge thank you.
So much.
We really, really appreciate it.
We are flagging this up a bit because at the moment, because we ourselves are still doing some counselling and stuff, if there isn't enough money, it comes from kind of our counselling pocket. But actually, when we do less, we still want to work with you all, but we won't be able to share anything up if you don't get enough money. So, we're really trying to get people to invest in what we do.
We're also flagging it up just now because, we're about to talk about celebrations, and it's just coming up, probably just about now. It'll be 3 years since we instituted the chain of care. It's 3 years since we made this website completely free. So that's another celebration.
Here we are, still running. So, your kindness and goodness is really working. So please, everybody do what you're already doing. We are so thankful. So we talked about the Jubilee and also July the 4th, of course, is coming up. Now, the first thing we said, and we both said it instantly in a different way, is about managing expectations.
Yes. I mean, I know in the UK the Jubilee is going to be a huge celebration, you know. Maybe not from where I come from, it might not be quite as big, you know, which is in Scotland, but you know, but certainly in England it'll be an enormous celebration, you know, street parties, the whole bit, you know. So I think there may be a libation or two, you know, a small sherry taken from time to time. I can expect it's going to be a kind of boozy weekend, I reckon.
I really is. And then on top of that, you've got COVID and people have felt very restricted. The Let's Party, which will have been building up all the way through COVID, is going to explode. So your drink is going to really tap into that and kind of want that. And I think obviously we're all the time helping you to manage your situation and to stop it from happening. This is not a good time to do it, sadly, because the justification your drinker will feel will be probably even higher than ever.
Well, we've said this about celebrations in the past when we've made videos, is that, you know, it's very difficult to try and stop your drinker drinking at a time when everybody in the world is drinking, you know, which is like Christmas, 4th of July, you know, and Independence Day, all of that, you know, what do we call it, Thanksgiving, the whole bit.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult to stop them drinking at that particular time. So it's better to sort of manage expectations and say, well, okay, that's what's going to happen. You know, let's...
So your runway in is, I hope you're not going to do too much drinking, is probably wiser to say, I understand you're going to want to celebrate like everybody else. But we know that those celebrations can come over the top. So this is point 2 that we're coming to. We're talking about negotiating.
Neatly segue into that one, which is that your expectation should be, it's probably, you know, it's probably futile to try and stop them, but maybe we can actually try and limit it. You know, so boundaries. And those boundaries might be about timing. You know, don't start before.
That was my one with particularly Christmas Day. I know you will want to drink, but you know, if I don't make a fuss about you drinking, could you not start until? So the payoff was that I wouldn't then sit there being kind of a horrible, mean, grumpy woman whilst he was trying to have a nice time.
So your drinker gets something, you get something. You know, and it's again, we're not condoning it. We're just trying to be realistic. The whole thing about bottled up is about pragmatism. You know, it's not about putting pressure on yourself or your drinker to do things that are just not going to happen, because that just ramps up the stress. It's about doing things that will work or should work. You know, or will work better.
And we understand, of course, hearing that from me, you know, you might agree with it, but your anxiety levels immediately will begin to rise, but they're probably a bit risen anyway. So we're going to go into kind of taking care of yourself. I was thinking, this is really left field, but if you are having a family celebration, I noticed with my husband that he wouldn't misbehave when his mum and dad were around. You know, they were the best drink deterrent that we ever had in our life, because there was something about him not wanting to kind of look as if he was drinking in front of them. And so you might have a few secret weapons around. That, you know, that if you're having a celebration, you know, you maybe can say, you know, I'll ask your mum and dad or whatever. You might know what the deterrents are. So if there's a few deterrents there, then, you know, maybe just be a bit, you know, clever in ways in which you will know. Right. So
it's knowing your situation and knowing how to use your situation as well, you know.
The third thing we would say is to kind of have an escape route, have a plan.
Fallback plan.
Yeah.
I mean, if it all goes sort of pear-shaped, and you know, then what are you going to do? And again, you know, it's an old cliche, but it's an old cliche because it's actually true. The best time to build a lifeboat is when you don't need it. So what does that mean? Plan ahead. So if you sort of plan ahead and say, well, okay, he or she is going to drink and they're going to get drunk, and then what? Well,
okay, if you're out with them, in fact, you could make it plain that, you know, if you feel the celebration's, quote, getting out of hand, you know, book your taxi. You know, you need to think ahead. You know, if it's a big a thing like the Jubilee, or get a friend to take you home. Just be aware, and absolutely, there's no shame if your partner's really beginning to misbehave with drink, thinking I'm out of here. In fact, it's probably helpful to say, look, you know, if I feel things are getting a bit over the top, I think I'll leave.
Yeah.
Same if you're at home, you know, buy that DVD or that new game just at the right time. And, you know, if your partner's beginning to drink, take your kids upstairs and say, oh, look, I've got a new game. That was kind of one of my strategies. They did learn to milk that in the end, my kids.
Yeah.
Kids are very clever. But, you know, so that's distraction, isn't it? That's bringing distractions. Never argue with the drunk. You know, again, be aware. I think the proportion of how much celebration you want to do often is the proportion of how much disappointment if it's ruined.
Yeah.
And can I just say here, I don't want to just say this as a tip. I have had some really sad times. I remember I passed the millennium by myself. And well, I had my kids, and I remember pleading with my husband, please don't drink as we pass over in the millennium, because the kids will always remember that. And he did. And so I just remember really breaking my heart. And, you know, if that happens, please remember there's people out there that really do know how you feel, you know, and if you're disappointed because you hoped for a great day and you didn't, just hear from my heart, that's really tough, and I really feel for you, because that's a really hard one. But again, if you know that might happen, that's why I think we started with manage expectation. Don't go in naively expecting, you know, that it's all going to be wonderful if you know it's not.
If it's never been wonderful 30 times before it, why is it going to be wonderful this time? You know, so and if you manage those expectations, if you plan ahead, you know, have a fallback position, then you can actually turn a disaster into a great day. You know. You know, you can turn a negative into a positive.
You take your kids to your sisters or whatever and have a celebration with them. So again, you might even decide to want to do that. You will know how best to manage this in your situation. So,
but it is about thinking ahead. It's about getting your head in the right place, you know. And if you can do that, then, you know, you can cope with this one.
And if you get a spoiled celebration, get another celebration. I mean, I started doing this with my husband in the end. If he ruined something for me, I would say, I'm going away. I'd just have a little hotel, make sure my children, this is when my children were old enough to go to friends and stuff, and I'd go to the hotel for a weekend, and I just kind of, basically, you ruin this, I'm going to go and, you know, treat myself. And he never ever said a word, because he felt so ashamed that he'd ruined the occasion, you know. So again, that's a bit of negotiation, isn't it, really? You don't have to have all your celebrations ruined. You just might need to have some that you decide for your own, where your drinker isn't around.
And the last thing is, you know, plan to have a good time. You know, and okay, you might expect that, you know, things might get a bit disastrous, but if you've got the plan in place, you know, then enjoy it. Enjoy what you've planned, and don't pick up shame. You know, don't celebrate with the shame cocktail. It's you know, it's not yours.
No,
it's not your shame. It's not your guilt.
So take from it what you will. If you think it's going to be disastrous, get your own celebration going. I'm thinking about July the 4th or even the Jubilee thing. If it's not so good, you know, in the end, get your own one going and kind of duplicate a celebration where you're in control. It's not easy.
No.
And we wouldn't pretend that it is.
But it's all about anticipation. It's all about planning. It's all about being realistic.
Yes.
You know?
Okay. And we do hope that you have brilliant times in our Jubilee and on July the 4th. We hope that you do have some really good memories.
We do.
Even if you're trying to kind of protect yourself from bad. And so again, thank you for listening. Put your own tips in, you know, as you listen to this. If you have strategies that work, please share them. Because it might be just the right thing.
And remember about other people as well. So, you know, remember the chain of care. You know, because there are other people who will be in exactly the same position as you. You know, many of them. So remember the chain of care, and remember, you know, to keep this going.
Yeah. Okay. So happy Jubilee, happy 4th of July, and we'll see you again very soon.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Right.